I'm gonna record this to have for our library of classes. What's that? I know, yeah. What hot yoga, how close here to the heater. Yeah, so for those that are home, we 2 yoga blocks or water bottles or larger weight, something to have a little bit of lift if we were to fold over or have support. So blocks are the best, but options if you don't have blocks, like water bottles, weights are good too. So let's go ahead and let's come down onto what? Oh, there we go. Detour. Yeah, nope. Let's go ahead and settle down onto the mat and start on the mat. So we're here today for an early bird Vinyasa style practice. So it'll be introductory. If you haven't had me before, just know that this next hour is going to be for you. What that means is that take modifications that you need that work best for your body. Do you. So take breaks when you need. If there's a different variation of a posture or that you know that works better than I'm not offering, go ahead and take it. But I'll offer places to start as kind of a starting point and then progress through to challenge yourself maybe a little more, or just add different variations in there. So explore and play and find what works for your body, but everyone's going to be different. Kind of a big thing, just honoring your unique body. And taking modifications. So using these blocks when I cue to use those blocks because they're there to help us, not hurt us, of course. And then take water when you need and try to have some fun. Yeah, get our body movement today. So we'll start lying on our back. So you can go ahead and start to come down, planting the feet, bending the knees, and lowering on down. As you get there, maybe start to walk those feet out a little wider on the mat. Keep the knees bent and knock the knees together at center. Let them rest and support each other. The hands can relax down by your side. Just start to get comfortable as you scooch the shoulders away from the ears. And then I invite you to close the eyes down. As you start to take a scan of the body, as you start to drop in and just notice here as you meet yourself on your mat where you're at today. So we're so often looking outwards, right? Our eyes are always looking outside of us. So as we close our eyes here, as we slow down, check in on that internal landscape. And I said earlier, just notice what sensations might be coming up. Notice what thoughts might be popping in as you meet yourself to slow down. We're always in motion off of our mat. So as we slow down, notice here. Whatever you're noticing, go ahead and start to find your next exhale and just let all that go with your breath out. As you start to settle in to this moment here, letting the body relax a little deeper, letting everything go here for this next hour. Next inhale in through the nose, invite in some fresh energy to work with. As you fill the lungs, feel the ribs expand, fill to the top. And then again, exhale, let the lungs deplete. The body relax, let it go. One more breath like that. Inhale through the nose, drag the breath down the back of the throat, into the lungs as you fill up. And then exhale, letting it go, letting it empty. As we find our next intentional inhale in through the nose, down the back of the throat, into the lungs. Seal up the lips, and as you press that air out through the nose on the exhale, feel the core slightly engage as it pulls down towards the floor and helps press that air back out. Continuing this breath here, inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continuing this breath here on your own for a few more rounds as you establish a strong, balanced breath to guide you through your practice today, to help ground you into each moment, each posture as it passes, but help honor while you're in it, right? So as you find this breath, it's a great time to also choose an intention to take with you into this hour. Maybe taking hands to heart, just to notice what that wants to be here, calling inwards to maybe what brought you to your mat today, what brought you here to this early bird class, what brought you to try out yoga, to get back into it. Maybe it's calling in support for an area off your mat. Is it a word or phrase that resonates with you? I am here, I am capable, I am strong. Or maybe it's embodying a feeling, compassion, flexibility, patience, curiosity, or just being open to receive this next hour. Whatever this intention is calling out to be here. Find your next inhale. Take a big breath as you breathe that in. Thank it before it's even shown up here to support you. And then as you exhale, release any expectation of how it'll show up, what it'll look like for you today. One more big inhale, breathe this in. And exhale, let it go. It is yoga practice open and strengthen your mind and heart. It is yoga practice open and strengthen your mind and heart. Slowly awaken the body here as we wiggle into the fingers and wiggle into the toes. We start to circle out the wrists, kind of bend at the elbows, walk the feet in. Bend the knees into the chest, reach the arms overhead, right? Any of this movement that's feeling good. Hug those knees in, roll out the lower back, rock the head a little side to side. No rush to these movements. Just start to play around with awakening the body here. And then just know that we'll eventually meet with those knees hugged towards the chest, those eyes fluttered open. We'll take our arms to about, we'll take our arms out to a T, palms face down, and knees to about a 90-degree bend. As you squeeze those inner thighs together, try to stamp the spine down to the mat. Take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, let the knees drop over to the right side. As you find a gentle twist here, allowing the knees to drop towards the floor. You can always take a block in between the knees and the floor, just underneath the thighs there to help fill in that gap. Try to keep left shoulder planted down as you ring and rinse through the torso. Maybe gaze over the left fingertips if that feels good to take that twist up into the neck. Continue to find your breath here. And we'll go ahead and inhale, lift the knees back to center, flatten that spine down to the mat. And as you exhale, drop off to the left side, opposite direction. Again, allowing the knees to drop towards the floor, take a block and fill in that gap between the knees and the floor. Allowing that right shoulder to stay planted, feeling that slight ring and rinse into the torso. Maybe gaze goes over towards the right fingertips. With each inhale, imagine lengthening through the spine, crown of the head, tailbone reaches opposite direction, creating space to then twist and find your depth, your shape. One more breath. Being that right shoulder planted, slight engagement into the core. Next breath, lift those knees back to center. Give the knees a good squeeze in. And then as you exhale, release the arms and feet long. Give a good stretch. Reach the fingertips, reach to the feet, point to the toes, flex the feet, circle out those ankles. And then we'll go ahead and find the knees to bend. Walk the feet in about hip width distance and walk the heels in towards the hips as much as we can. Arms come long down beside you. Scooch the shoulders away from the ears. Gaze is up, neck is neutral. Plant those palms down into the mat as you reach fingertips towards those heels. As we exhale all the air out. And then inhale, press into the feet. Start to peel the spine up off the mat as you pull the hips towards the sky. Squeezing into the glutes, the inner thighs, as we lift up onto the shoulder blades, starting to find some engagement into those legs and starting to heat up the body as we find our bridge pose. So finding your depth here, this first few breaths. Maybe you notice you can kind of roll the shoulder blades a little bit more underneath you, planting firmly into the palms. So really planting into all 10 fingers and using the full forearm as a base here. And then noticing, can we squeeze those inner thighs towards each other like we're holding an invisible block there? Holding strong, breathing strong for 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower the hips down to the mat. Let them relax here. Windshield wiper the knees, right and left. Hello, welcome. We've got a mat over here for you. Take your time. And then if you heard me mention that invisible block between the thighs, you're welcome to grab a block and place that between the thighs to give you something to really squeeze into if you'd like. Otherwise, you don't have to, and you can just imagine that invisible block there. Again, without a block, it's going to be a bit more challenge, right? Because you're not squeezing into anything. So see what you like to do here as we set up. Feet are hip width distance. Walk those heels towards those hips. Arms lying down beside you. Palms face down. Exhale all the air out. As we inhale, start to peel up the tailbone, lifting it towards the sky. Hips lift, squeeze into the glutes, inner thighs squeeze either into that block or that invisible block. So holding strong into right where we left off, lifting up onto the shoulder blades, finding that full forearm as a base, strong hold here. And then when you feel good, you're gonna slowly lower that spine back down, hovering the hips just above the mat before lifting back up. So starting to find some nice slow and controlled bridge lifts here. So slowly lowering and lifting with control, maybe slower than you want to go, right? Stamping vertebrae by vertebrae until we're hovering the hips and then lifting back up, maybe finding a little bit more arch, a little bit more depth as we press those hips high. So finding 2 more lower and lifts. And bring to continue to check in on that breath. It may change up from what my cueing is, from what your neighbor sounds like, and that's okay as long as you feel a nice strong connection to it. We'll go ahead and meet lifting into that bridge pose after your final dip. And then we'll all lower down, hips relax to the mat. If you had that block there, remove it. We'll go ahead and windshield wiper knees, right and left. Nice job. All right, we got one more round. This time we're adding, changing it up a little bit here. So still bring those arms long down beside you. This time we're gonna walk those feet slightly closer together so you can find a bit of a base into that left foot, pick up that right foot and stack that right ankle on top of that left knee. So you have a figure 4 into the leg. Again, make sure that left foot feels centered. So we're going to be pressing back up into that bridge pose. If you need to walk that left foot a little bit more to center. Exhale all the air out. And as you inhale, see if you can press into that left foot. Start to lift the hips up. They don't have to go super high, maybe not as high as your previous bridges, and that's okay. A little bit more of a strength posture as you use those shoulder blades to lift those hips up. Let that right knee drop down. See if you can squeeze into that left glute. Use that left quad, that left leg to lift a little bit higher here. Let that right knee drop. And then slowly with control, lower those hips back down. Let the hips relax. Stay with the figure 4 here. Arms out to a T, palms face down. Let your figure 4 drop over to the left side. That right foot lands to the floor. That left thigh lands to the floor. A little bit of a twist. But then take that left hand and grab for that right ankle. And then allow yourself to just kind of settle back into that grip so that right hip drops kind of towards the floor. We feeling stretched down that right outside of that right hip as you relax into that grip. One more breath here. Go ahead and release that grip. Arm back out to a T as we lift that figure 4 back to center. Go ahead and release that right leg, shake it out. And we'll plant right foot down to switch sides. So right foot plants to center, pick up that left leg. Left ankle stacks on top of that right knee. Left knee opens out to that figure 4 shape. From here, arms come back down by your side so that those shoulders scooch away from the ears, palms face down, and fingertips kind of reach towards that right heel. Exhale all the air out. As we inhale, press into the right foot, start to peel up, lifting those hips to the sky, noticing each side might differ in the height and what side feels strongest here. But as we squeeze into the right glute, we're lifting into that right leg, pressing into that right foot. Left knee opens up and relaxes towards the floor, opening into that hip. Use your shoulder blades, press up, strong platform into those palms, holding here. One more breath. And then slowly lower the hips down to the mat. Keeping that figure four, arms come out to a T. We'll let their figure four drop to the right side. The left foot drops to the floor, right thigh drops to the floor, and then take your right hand and grab for that left ankle. Relax back into that grip so that left hip settles back down to the floor. And you feel a little bit of weight into that grip with the right hand on that left ankle. Breathing here, slight twist, but mostly feeling that stretch down the left side of the hip. Go ahead and release that grip. We'll bring that figure four back to center. And then you can unravel that left leg, take it out. Give those knees one more squeeze, maybe roll out that back side to side. And then you have the option, either rock and roll up the spine a few times to come up and over into a tabletop, or roll off to the side and press up and over, however you decide to get there. We're gonna come up and over into a tabletop. We're gonna be in our tabletop just for a little bit. So if you need extra padding underneath the knees, we've got blankets or little slices of yoga mat over there and little purple pads. Great to use for underneath the knees, or if you're at home, grab something like a blanket for underneath the knees. We'll come into our tabletop, stacking our hands underneath the shoulders. Spread the fingers out nice and wide. Take a moment here to just kind of find some free movement. Those knees will stack underneath the hips. Play with maybe shimmying the hips a little side to side, moving through the spine, shaking out the head. Just kind of notice what intuitively feels best for your body here for about one more breath. And then we'll go ahead and find our way to center. Nice neutral spine. Spread the toes, or excuse me, spread the fingers out nice and wide as you stack shoulders over the wrists. And then curl underneath the toes. Get a nice base and firm grip of those toes. So you're going to plant into the hands, plant into the toes. See if you can start to lift the knees and hover the shins. Feeling that energy meet into the middle, right? So we're pressing into the hands, pressing the toes, and starting to feel that core fire up. Gazes between the thumbs, trying to find a nice neutral supported spine. So tuck that belly button slightly in, pelvis slightly tucks forward. We're in a turbo dog here, firing up. And then if you want a little more, maybe you start to push back and forth between the hands and toes, pulsing back and forth for last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big inhale. And as you exhale, press those hips high to the sky, head relaxes, downward facing dog. So an upside down V shape here as you press into all 10 fingers. Head is heavy, neck is loose. Shake it out here. Hips are high to the sky. It's okay to bend the knees here if you're feeling any pulling down the back or the hamstrings. As we press the heels towards the earth, though, you might notice that those knees lessen in the bend, and that's okay. So noticing that sweet spot of straightening through those legs and pressing the heels through the earth. But knowing that it's okay to bend the knees, again, to find that sweet spot as you let the head be heavy, chest towards the thighs. One more breath here, feeling those shoulders warm up. We'll take a gaze towards the top of the mat, start to walk the feet towards the hands to meet ourselves in a ragdoll forward fold, top of the mat. Feet are hip width distance. Bend the knees as much as you need to let the chest waterfall over the thighs. Hands can be heavy to the floor. You can use your blocks underneath the hands to support yourself staying a bit more lifted if that helps. Make sure that head is heavy, neck is loose. And then check in here. Just let yourself kind of become a wet noodle Maybe you play with a little shifting of weight in the feet, right and left, checking in on the balance. We'll find our way to center, release the hands down and walk the feet to touch. Bend the knees nice and deep, slowly roll up the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Arms are heavy, head is last to rise. Shoulders roll down and back to the top. Finding your way at standing, take a moment to kind of shimmy out the body here as we stack everything and stand. All right, feet come together, setting up in our Tadasana mountain pose. So spread those toes out, feel some anchoring in the balls of the feet, the heels, as we squeeze those inner thighs together. Feel that kind of power up through the spine, strong into that core, and then relax the shoulders down and back, palms face forward, sparking through those fingertips, looking strong. Big inhale, circle sweep, hands reach high. Find some length through the torso, and as you exhale, palms toward center. Find 2 more breaths like that. Inhale, circle sweep, reach high. Exhale, palms toward center. Nice job. 1 more inhale, circle sweep, reach high. Exhale, palms toward center. This time, forward fold, hinging from the hips. Hands to the floor, head low, hips high. This time, feet are together. Maybe noticing a bit more stretch down the back of the legs. Inhale, strong halfway lift. Lift the chest halfway. Hands can rest on your shins or maybe to your blocks as you lengthen through the crown of the head. Shoulder blades relax down and back. And then exhale, folds. Plant the hands down, step the feet back, finding your first Tadasana plank pose. So shoulders stack over your wrists, all 10 fingers spread nice and wide. We're strong into that core, shoulders, hips, and heels in line, squeezing into those glutes, inner thighs. Or always feel free to drop the knees to the mat if we want to modify this plank. Nothing wrong with that. Still can feel nice and strong and confident wherever you find yourself here for 3, 2, 1. Big inhale. And as you exhale, press the hips high and back, head low, downward facing dog. Take a moment in your downward dog, settle into this shape, maybe shimmy out the hips, bend the knees a little, shake out the head. And then our feet together, back of our mat. We'll take a big inhale, reach the right toes high to the sky for a 3-legged dog. Circle out the ankle right and left. Reaching those toes high to the sky, and as you exhale, bend the knee in towards the nose, step the foot between the palms. However you make your way there, we're gonna drop that back knee down, keep that right foot at the front and lift the hands high, finding your low lunge. So making sure the knees stacking over the ankle of that front foot as we bend into that front knee, hips square, allowing yourself to settle into a stretch here, hands high, or you can always take hands to heart center to modify. Wherever you're at, shoulder blades relax down and back. Looking good here. On your inhale, reach high through those fingertips. And as you exhale, cactus open those elbows, squeezing shoulder blades, elbows down and back, maybe gaze goes slightly up. Inhale, hands reach high to the sky. And as you exhale, we're gonna airplane the arms back. Can you straighten through that right leg slightly and peel the toes off the mat, slightly dropping those hips back and maybe hinging over that right leg. So a little bit of balance challenge. Inhale, plant that right foot, hands come high. As you exhale, open up those elbows, maybe gaze goes up. Inhale, forward, hands reach high. As we exhale, airplane the arms back, straighten through that right leg, peel the toes back towards the face, maybe fold over that right leg. 1 more time through, inhale, plant that right foot, bend in the knee, hands reach high. As we exhale, cactus the arms, gaze maybe goes up. Inhale, hands reach high. As we exhale, last time, hinging from the hips, folding slightly over that right leg as we airplane the arms back, peel the toes back to the face. And then from here, go ahead and drop the hands down to the floor, staying with that right leg where it is, half split. Maybe you grab for your blocks to help stay a bit lifted with the chest, which is a great tool to have here. Bump right hip back, left hip forward. See how that feels down that right hamstring as you drop that right hip. Maybe dig that right heel into the mat, flex the right toes back to the face, right? But also, again, know that it's okay to have that bend in the knee if it's needed. Listen to your body. Go ahead and find our next inhale as we plant into that right foot. We'll take those hands, take those blocks and place them at the top of the mat. Plant the hands to frame that right foot, curl under the back toes and lift that back knee. Your hands can stay on the mat, or they can come onto those blocks to frame that right foot. We're gonna lift that back leg off the mat. See if you can challenge your balance a little bit here. Nice job. Strong into that right leg. Our gaze is slightly forward. See if you can pivot that left hip back towards the mat as we point through those left toes, strong into that core. And then as you exhale, drop those left toes back to the back of the mat. Hands can plant to frame that right foot. Lift right leg high to the sky for a three-legged dog. As we exhale, bend the knee, open up the hips, the knees pointing high to the sky to bend, the heels dropping towards the bum, shoulders square, head is heavy as you open that right hip, scorpion dog. Next big inhale, right leg reaches long, and then release right foot to meet left, downward facing dog. From your downward dog here, we'll go ahead and shift forward into that plank pose. Drop the knees down, tops of the feet flat. Keeping those elbows hugged in, slowly lower. See if you can go halfway, hold strong halfway, strong core, and then lower all the way down, scooping that chest through, baby cobra. Tops of the feet flat into the mat behind you, squeezing into those inner thighs. As you peel the chest up, lift the crown of the head. We're light into those palms, elbows squeeze back to the shoulder blades. Using that back strength to lift a little higher here. And then exhale, relax the chin down. We'll inhale, press up onto your hands and knees. And back into a child's pose, knees out wide, toes to touch. Arms long in front of you as you sit those hips back. Relax the head and chest between the thighs. Maybe rock the forehead a little on your mat if that feels good. Now you know kind of the sense of where we're going on this other side. When you're ready, we'll inhale, lift up onto all fours. Knees back underneath you, spread out and call 10 fingers as you curl underneath the toes, lift the knees, hips up high. Downward facing dog. Feet together, back of our mat. We'll inhale, left toes reach high to the sky, three-legged dog. Circle out the ankle, right and left. Reaching those toes high, and then as you exhale, bend the knee in towards the nose, step it through between the palms. Dropping that right knee down. Low lunge as we inhale, lift hands high. Setting up here, hands can reach high to the sky or be at heart center to modify. Relaxing that right hip forward, left knee stacks over the left ankle, reach those hands high, inhale. And as we exhale, bend the elbows open, cactusing those arms, squeezing the shoulder blades, maybe gaze goes up. Reach those hands high, inhale. And as we exhale, airplane the arms back, peel back the toes, maybe straighten through that left leg, bump left hip back, hinging over that left leg. Inhale with your breath, plant the foot, hands reach high, low lunge. As we exhale, cactus the arms, maybe gaze goes up. Inhale, hands reach high. As we exhale, airplane the arms, hinge back, picking up those left toes, straightening through that left leg. Inhale, hands reach high, last time. As we exhale, bend the elbows open, maybe gaze goes up. Inhale, reach high. As we exhale, last time here, playing the arms back, hinging back, straightening somewhat through that left leg, peeling the toes back. And we'll drop the hands to the floor or grab for those blocks, set up for our half splits here. So bumping left hip back, right hip forward, feeling that stretch into the left hamstring. Maybe we're folding a little bit more over that left leg. That's where you're finding your depth, or maybe you're keeping your chest lifted and just dropping the hips towards the floor, right? So it could be either or, doesn't have to be both of those at the same time. Check back in with your breath here. And then we'll go ahead and inhale, come forward, plant into that left foot. Bring those blocks up to the top of the mat. Hands frame that left foot on the mat, curl under the back toes. Lift that back knee. And then from here, again, you can keep hands on the floor or you can grab those blocks to frame that left foot. We're going to bring the weight in the left foot as we lift off the right toes. Little micro bend in that standing leg. We're strong and steady, reaching those right toes behind you. Gaze is slightly forward. So strong into that core as we power through that right leg, pointing to the toes, squeezing through the glute inner thigh, feeling strong here, challenging our balance. We'll add on to this a little later. And then as you exhale, drop the right toes to the back of the mat. Move those blocks out of the way. We'll plant the hands down. Lift that left leg high behind you, three-legged dog. As you exhale, bend the knee, open up the hips, scorpion dog. Left knee is bent high to the sky, heels dropping to the bum. Head is heavy, shoulders square, opening to that left hip. Left leg reaches long, inhale. As you exhale, left foot meets right. Downward facing dog. From here, go ahead and shift forward, find that plank pose, just as a transition. You can drop the knees just as we did before, or you can stay lifted in those knees. We're gonna lower down, keeping those elbows in tight. See if you can pause halfway before lowering all the way down. From here, hands come out a little wider than the shoulders. Separate the feet out wider than the hips. Let the chin relax to the mat as you exhale. And then inhale, press in the hands. Start to straighten through the arms as you lift the crown of the head tall. If that's too much arch right off the bat, lower back down and walk the hands forward. If you need more arch, lower down, walk the hands back towards the hips. But as you press through the arms, lift out of the shoulders, lift through the crown of the head, lift the hips. Let the hips be heavy and the legs be heavy. Gazing forward, lifting tall through the crown of the head. One more breath. And then as you exhale, nice and slow, lower it down. When you're ready, pressing up onto the hands and knees and back into your child's pose. Knees out wide, toes to touch. Sit the hips back, arms long in front of you. Taking a moment here for a shoulder rinse as we inhale, slightly lift the chest. Right hand reaches high to the sky, going for a little twist here first. And then as you exhale, leave that right arm underneath the left armpit. Settle that shoulder down on the mat. Chest relaxes down, head relaxes down. That left arm can stay long, or maybe you take that left arm around the low back, going for a little bind, grabbing for that hip crease on the right, or maybe just the pant leg, whatever's available. Wherever you find yourself, though, try to pivot that left shoulder back towards the mat as you relax the head down and the hips back. Yeah, that bind, we'll go ahead and release. The left hand plants in the mat so we can release our right arm from that shoulder rinse, maybe a little shake on the way out. Planting right hand down, the left hand lifts high for that twist before entering. As we exhale, leave that left arm underneath the right armpit, settle the shoulder down to the mat, chest relaxes on top. Right hand can stay out long as you settle into your shoulder rinse on the left side. Right hand can stay long, or maybe take that bind. If you did so on the other side, wrapping around the low back, grabbing for the left hip crease, pant leg. Wherever you find yourself, that right arm though, try to pivot that right shoulder back towards the mat. You let your head and chest relax, and hips sit back. Breathe here. You're taking your bind, we'll go ahead and release. Right hand reaches long to plant into the mat. Release that left arm, maybe a little shake on the way out. And reaching arms long into that child's pose. When you're ready, we'll lift up onto all fours. Knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. As you take your next inhale, you can start to take your gaze up to the sky, pull the chest through, drop the belly button, arch into the back. As we exhale, round the chin in towards the chest, pressing into the palms, rounding through the back, spreading the shoulder blades. If you round to cat-cow as we inhale, scoop the chest through, gaze up. And as you exhale, round, tuck the chin. Inhale, scoop the chest through. Exhale, round, tuck. One more time through, inhale, drop the belly button, arch into the back, gaze up. And as you exhale, round the chin in, round to the back. We'll inhale to a neutral spine. Spreading the fingers out nice and wide. Go ahead and curl underneath the toes, lift the knees, hips up high. We'll take our gaze to the top of the mat. As we inhale, start to walk the feet up to the top of the mat. However you get there, separating the feet hip width distance here. Planting the left hand down underneath the face. You can always take a block underneath that left hand as well. We're gonna bend deep into that left knee, right leg straight, reach that right hand high. Maybe gaze follows the right fingertips. And again, right hand can stay long, reaching to the sky, or maybe it goes for that bind, reaching around the low back, grabbing for that left hip crease, opening that right shoulder up a little bit more. If you have that bind, go ahead and release, right hand high, and then release it down. Right hand replaces the left on the floor on that block. As you bend deep into that right knee, straight into that left leg, left hand reaches high. Trying to lengthen through the crown of the head and then twist through the torso, left hand staying high, or maybe going for that bind if you did so on either side, grabbing for that right hip crease around the low back. And then opening that left shoulder a little more. 2 more breaths wherever you find yourself here. We'll release that bind if you had it, left hand high, and release down. As you exhale, fold forward, deep bend in the knees, arms are heavy, finding your ragdoll here, maybe a bit more space, a bit more of a fold, just noticing the difference from that first one to now. And then we'll go ahead and take the hands down to the mat. Let's walk the feet to touch. From here, inhale, halfway lift, strong core, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand up tall, reach up high. Exhale, palms to our center. Nice job. From here, let's go ahead and take a look at our blocks. Grab those if they aren't already and put those up kind of shoulder width distance at the top of our mat. We're going to add on to our flow a little bit here. So arms long down beside you. We'll start standing here in our mountain pose, feet together, shoulders relaxed down and back. Take a big inhale, circle sweep, hands reach high. As you exhale, palms to our center. And 2 more of those. Inhale, circle sweep, reach high. Exhale, palms seal the heart. 1 more inhale, circle sweep, reach high. And exhale, palms seal the heart. This time we'll inhale, circle sweep, reach high. As we exhale, sit those hips low as hands seal the heart, finding your Utkatasana chair. Tuck that pelvis, tailbone forward, feel that core engage, squeeze those inner thighs together, calves, ankles together, shoulder blades relax down and back. Nice job. Can we sit a little lower? Last 3, 2, 1. Inhale, stand up, reach up high. And as you exhale, arms out wide, forward fold. Inhale, strong halfway lift. Go ahead and grab for those blocks. Take those blocks underneath the hands. Staying in the strong halfway lift. Left leg stays, right leg starts to lift behind you. So coming to that kind of balancing point that we left off in our flow from before. Strong into that left leg, right toes reach behind you. Then from here, as you exhale, can we bend that right knee to stack behind the left? Kind of squat those hips down, take your gaze slightly up. Yep. Inhale, reach that right leg back behind you. 2 more like that. Exhale, stack those knees, kind of a curtsy, lifting your gaze. Inhale, right leg reaches long. Last time here, exhale, bend the knees, stack them, gaze slightly forward. Inhale, lift that right leg behind you. From here, Right toes land to the back of the mat. Make sure you set up that you're on a number 11, not a tightrope. Bend in that front knee, and when you're ready, hands reach high to the sky. Finding your high lunge. We're high in those back toes, bending in that front knee, squeezing into that right glute. Looking good. Strong into that core, hands stay lifted, big inhale. As we exhale, bend those elbows open, cactusing the arms. Maybe gaze slightly up if you'd like to challenge that balance, otherwise keep it forward. Inhale, hands reach up high to the sky. As you exhale, drop that back heel, open up, warrior two. Arms out to our T, shoulders, hips open to the side of the room. Bending in that front knee, pressing the knife edge of your right foot, gaze over the left fingertips. Looking good. Straighten through that left leg. Reach out through those left fingertips, reach, 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 and then hinge. Triangle, left hand down, right hand high. You can always take your block and place that underneath that left hand to help keep your chest lifted. Stack shoulders, stack hips. Nice strong core will lift you on up. Pivot left toes in, feet are parallel. Open up nice and wide. As you exhale, forward fold. Hands grab to the feet, the ankles, the calves, whatever's available here as you fold, letting the head relax. You can always adjust your stance here if it's needed. You can explore any movement that feels good into the legs. Maybe shake out the head a little. We'll go ahead and take our hands underneath the face. Lift the chest halfway. See if you can start to engage into the core. Keep the chest lifted, hands come to hips, and then rise all the way on up. Step that back foot in, so about a 3-foot stance as you pivot everything forward. Left toes forward, right toes about a 45-degree angle. You plant in that right heel and hips square forward. Big inhale, hands reach high to the sky. And as you exhale, start to lengthen out through the torso as you hinge from the hips. Hands can come down to your blocks as we find our pyramid pose. Keeping that right heel planted, bumping left hip back, right hip forward as you straighten through that left leg and try to fold your forehead in towards that left knee or shin. Feeling that stretch down the left hamstring, but also knowing it's okay to have a bend in that left knee if it's needed. As much as we're feeling into that stretch, folding, rounding, forehead in towards that knee, bumping that left hip back. Take a slight bend into that left knee. Hands can slightly move forward with those blocks so that you can lift those right toes back up behind you. Staying here for one more round, or maybe you start to pull the forehead down towards the shin as you reach those right toes high to the sky. Feeling a bit more of a splits action here for 3, 2, 1. We'll let that right foot drop to meet the left and forward fold. Bend the knees nice and deep, slowly roll up the spine, arms are nice and heavy. Rise all the way to standing, shoulders roll down and back to the top. Nice job. We got one more side to go. So arms flowing down beside you. You guys are doing great. Big inhale, circle sweep, hands reach high. Let's find 3 breaths here to reconnect. You exhale, palms to heart center. 2 more like that. Inhale, circle sweep, reach high. And exhale, palms to heart center. Last one like that. Inhale, circle sweep, reach it high. And exhale, palms to heart center. This time as we inhale, circle sweep, reach it high. And exhale, sit down into your chair, hips low, weight in the heels, hands to heart center, shoulder blades down and back. Tuck that pelvis forward, feeling strong into that core, maybe sitting a little lower this time for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, power through those heels, stand up, reach high. As we exhale, swan dive, arms out wide, forward fold. Inhale, strong halfway lift. Hands grab for those blocks, stay in that halfway lift, weight in that right foot, lift the left toes behind you. So reaching those left toes behind you, right where we left off. As we exhale, bend that left knee, stack it behind the right, drop the hips, lift the gaze slightly. And then inhale, left leg lifts long. Exhale, 2 more. Stack the knees, gaze slightly goes up. Inhale, left leg reaches long. Last one, squat it down, gaze slightly forward, nice job. Inhale, left leg long. And then from here, go ahead and drop the left toes to the back of the mat. When you're ready, lift it on up. Make sure you're on that number 11 with those feet if you need to adjust here, or take those hands back to those blocks to do so. We're gonna find ourselves hips square forward, bending in that front knee, high on those back toes, squeezing into that left leg. Hands reach high, big inhale. As you exhale, cactus those arms open, elbows down and back. Maybe gaze goes up to challenge your balance a little more. Inhale, hands reach high. As we exhale, drop that back heel, open up warrior 2. Arms out to a T, gaze over the right fingertips, bending in that front knee, planting into the edge of that left foot. Looking good here. Straighten through that front knee. Reach out through those right fingertips, reach, 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 and then hinge. Right hand down, left hand high. Great place for a block underneath the right fingertips. Right toes point forward. Nice job, stacking shoulders, stacking hips. Strong core lifts you on up. We'll pivot those right toes in. Feet are parallel from here, arms interlace behind the back, hands at the low back. Squeeze that fist down, open to the chest. Check out how it feels here first. And then when you're ready, take that fist back to low back, slight bend in the elbows, hinge from the hips, forward fold. Once you find that fold, maybe the fist starts to come over the head, straightening through the arms, finding a deeper shoulder rinse. Whatever variation is working for you today. Anytime you can release this shoulder rinse and come into your fold with hands heavy to the mat, head heavy. Breathing here. You still have that shoulder rinse, so go ahead and release hands to low back. So you can release that fist, hands drop to the floor. About 2 more breaths here in this fold, maybe walking hands through the legs as you fold crown of the head towards the floor. We'll go ahead and take hands underneath the face, lifting the chest halfway. Start to engage into the core, hands come to hips. Lift yourself all the way on up. We'll step the back foot in, shortening that stance to about 3-foot stance. Pivot everything forward. So front toes forward, back toes about a 45-degree angle, and then hips square forward. Hands reach high to the sky, big inhale. Then as you exhale, you can start to hinge forward from the hips. Hands come down to your blocks. As you start to bump right hip back, left hip forward, and fold over that right leg. Forehead pulls into that near shin. Bump that left hip forward, plant that left heel down to the mat. See how this feels here, but knowing it's okay to still have a bend in that right knee if it's needed, because you can still be doing all of that. And that knee can be bent and still feel the stretch. Again, what works for you and your body. 1 more breath here. And then we'll start to take our gaze forward, planting into that right foot. You can take your blocks with the just slightly in front of that right foot, excuse me, as you lift those left toes off the mat, coming back to where we started here. And then either staying here or going into your standing splits as you pull the forehead in towards that right knee or shin and lift the toes a little higher towards the sky. Wherever you're taking it here, breathe for last 3, 2, 1. We'll go ahead and let left foot meet right, top of the mat, forward folds. Beautiful. From here, we'll go ahead and leave the blocks where they're at the top of the mat. We'll find our fold as we take a big inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand up tall, reach up high. Exhale, palms to heart center. Beautiful. Let's make our way into some final stretching. Inhale, circle sweep, reach high. As you exhale, swan dive, arms out wide, forward fold. Inhale, strong halfway lift. As we exhale, plant the hands down, keep the left foot where it is, step the right toes to the back of the mat, drop that right knee down. Hands come inside of that left foot, wiggle that left foot out to the edge and top corner of that side of the mat. You can use your blocks underneath the hands, of course, to help stay a bit more lifted, or maybe you start to drop down onto the forearms. Again, blocks are available, or you can drop to the floor, finding your low lizard pose. Right leg is long behind you. You can start to allow the forehead to relax towards the floor, the head to settle in, neck to get loose, chest to relax. And then notice if that left hip can open up, that left knee falls out a little bit to the side. Going on the edge of the left foot. Do we have any space to find a bit more depth there? Everyone's going to be different. Take our next inhale, lifting up onto the palms. Yeah, those blocks there, just kind of move them out of the way so we can shift the hips back and wiggle that left foot across the body. Bending that knee as much as you need, bringing that heel in towards the hip so you can settle into your pigeon pose. That right leg is long behind you, hips are square. So noticing here, again, bend the knee as much as we need, hips are square. If you feel like we're still kind of dumping off to the side, maybe you take a block underneath that left thigh, help kind of prop you up. Or maybe you jump to the side, bend that back knee and find 90 degree bend as you fold over, right? So you have different options here for your pigeon pose. If that right leg is long behind you, you have that knee bent here. Maybe there's space to wiggle that foot up a little bit. And then folding down onto the forearms from there. See what feels good for you and your body as you settle in to these stretches. See if you can just come back to your breath. One more breath here. Start to come up onto the palms. We'll actually just kind of shift ourselves over onto that left side or that right side, coming with that right leg long, left knee bent. Square the hips to that right leg. Big inhale, hands reach high. As you exhale, start to fold over that right leg, reaching hands to the foot, the ankle, the calf, as you allow your forehead to relax towards that right knee or shin. And then we'll inhale, go ahead and lift ourselves on up. Shifting up onto all fours from here, we'll find a tabletop. Coming into our other side from our tabletop, we'll take our right leg long. And as you exhale, bend the knee towards the right elbow, step that right foot outside that right hand. You start to walk that right foot up and out to that right corner of the mat. As we let the hips start to sink forward, deep bend in that right knee. Maybe you have those blocks underneath you again to help keep you a bit more lifted. Or maybe you drop onto the forearms and come down a little lower here. The hips relax towards the mat. That right knee maybe falls out to the side a little bit, opening into the right hip, coming onto the edge of that right foot. Listening to your body. Yoga is a practice of building that mind-body connection, building that gap, right? So noticing here as you settle into the shape, the most subtle of movements can create a lot of sensation. So explore, where do you need to be here for about 2 more breaths? And start to come up onto the palms if you're lower down. Shift the hips back, create some space to wiggle that right foot across the body. Bend that knee nice and deep so that we can start to lower those hips down, left leg behind you. Again, allowing those hips to stay square as you settle into your pigeon pose. If we need a block underneath our thigh to help stay lifted, that's a great tool to use. Maybe there's space to kind of wiggle that chin a bit more parallel to the top of the mat, creating more depth to what you're feeling there. Again, listen to what your body's needing here, and then maybe you drop to the forearms, let the head, chest relax. Noticing each side's going to be different. It's going to offer up different access points for your stretching. Two more breaths here. Start to come up onto the palms, lifting the chest. We'll start to roll onto that right side with that left leg long, right knee bent. Squaring the hips to that left leg. We'll take a big inhale, reach hands high. And as you exhale, start to fold over that left leg, grabbing for the foot, the ankle, the calf, whatever's available there. As you allow your forehead to relax towards that knee or shin. Noticing here. Again, each side might be a little different. It's okay to have a bend in the knee if it's needed, as always. Got one more breath. And then we'll slowly lift and rise on up. From here, you can bend those knees, swing them towards the front of your mat, planting the feet down with the knees bent, making sure you take a block with you. So take that block, kind of just make sure there's one block that goes with you as you lower down onto your back. As we find our way on our back, keeping those feet planted, knees bent, we're going to take our block and we're going to set up for our supported bridge. So planting into the feet, lifting the hips, you're going to take your block flat ways and perpendicular to the spine, slide it underneath so that the hips rest on that block comfortably. You can let those hips settle in and then either keep the feet planted, take them wide and knock the knees together to center. Or maybe you play with reaching those legs long so that you can get the body just to kind of splay over this block. That light, slight arch. Arms can relax long down beside you, shoulders away from the ears. Finding your supported bridge here. A shape that feels comfortable for you to let the hips relax into that block. And comfortably tailbone resting into that block. And I invite you to close the eyes down. If at any point you feel that you would like to remove the block, know that you can, and just let the hips settle down to the floor. We're going to end in our final Shavasana here, final resting posture, allowing that block to be supported underneath the hips. Allowing your body just to settle in, some stillness. The whole body get comfortable here. The whole body relax, heavy into your mat. So maybe taking those legs long is a way to do that. You don't have that block underneath the hips. So seeing what feels most comfortable for you here for your final Shavasana. Again, I'll cue when you can remove the block as we start to awaken, allowing the body just to surrender here for the final few moments. The world we move in is always in motion. It's always moving. It's always going. So before we jump right back into that, allow yourself this space to practice slowing down, pausing, breathing, honoring the in between. Starting to bring some awareness here to the heart center of your chest. Just notice at first a flicker of light. This light being the highest version of yourself that you get to fuel each time you step on your mat into a practice like this. Each time you just simply set aside space to experience your mind and your body for what it offers you off your mat and what brings you joy and what makes you you. So as you acknowledge that you've tapped into this light here, as you feel it get a little bigger and brighter within you, notice that light expanding and traveling into the body, entering into the limbs, filling up. And as it does, it's awakening a familiar energy within you. This is your unique energy you were born into this world with, your essence, your presence that you get to go out and share with the world. So be reminded of that energy here, that uniqueness, as it awakens with this light, as the two fill the body, expanding and washing over you like a wave of sunshine from head to toe, creating a full body reminder of what you get to take away from your practice. And as it washes over you, maybe you start to notice a sense of awakening coming with it, a wiggle in the fingers, a wiggle in the toes, maybe rocking the head a little side to side. You still have that block underneath the hips. This would be the time. Maybe lift the hips, remove that block. Any movement here that's feeling good, maybe hugging the knees to the chest, maybe stretching the body long. Go ahead and feel free to take it now. And just know that when you feel ready, you'll transition rolling onto your favorite side into a fetal position with your arm as a pillow, knees slightly tucked to the chest, just giving yourself one more big thank you for showing up here. When you're ready, you can press up into a seat. We'll close class together, coming into a seat, meeting with hands on heart and eyes closed, coming back to the intention that you set earlier at the beginning of class, just noticing here this last hour, however it played out for you, however that intention showed up. Take a big inhale, breathe it in for whatever it was, and thank it for whatever it was. And as you exhale, release any other expectation around how it'll continue to support you moving forward. One more big inhale, breathe this in. And exhale, let it go. The light within each of you shines so brightly as I see it also within me, connecting us as one as human. But I'm so thankful for your unique energies being here and shared today, allowing me to guide you. So again, thank you for being here, early birds. Namaste. Thanks, guys. Great job.